was first drawn to public service about 20 years ago. I was working for the city at the time, and the city was in financial crisis, and there were a lot of challenges being faced in our neighborhoods. And being an employee, I thought I had some ideas that could help address some of the issues that they were facing. So I decided at that time to run for Pittsburgh City Council in 2005. I introduced 492 originally after having conversations with Natalie about some of the history of the rodeo in Pittsburgh. And I thought it made sense for me to be the sponsor of the bill given my background on Pittsburgh City Council. And I thought it was important to make sure that the will of that body was heard. The history, the issue that happened in the city a long time ago, and we can't forget about that. And so I thought it was important that I introduced the bill and took the lead on it, given my background and as a city resident. So it certainly made sense. Humane Action PA does a great job in rallying up the community to get behind issues. The emails, the phone calls, the visits that we have, and when we hear firsthand from our residents about why these laws are important to them, it certainly puts a name and a face on an issue, and it becomes much more personal when you have those conversations. So we certainly appreciate the work that the organization does, and we rely on a lot of their information to come to informed decisions. I'm very grateful to receive the award. Tremendous honor, and it's certainly really appreciated. I think probably the most important part of receiving the award is the validation that I'm listening to our community. We deal with a lot of issues, and a lot of times, you don't make people happy in this job for various reasons, various votes or whatever, but to get recognition, I think it's good to see that there's some validation to your work, and it inspires you to continue to work harder if people are recognizing that you're trying to do what's best for the community. The most important thing about leadership and animal protection, in my opinion, is listening. Again, we're not experts on everything, but we hear from people all the time. We hear how important animal protection laws are in our community, and it's incumbent that we listen to those residents and do what we can, because it's a quality of life issue in our neighborhood. So I think it's important for us to pay attention, to listen, and act on their behalf.
Hi, I'm State Senator Lindsey Williams, and I represent the 38th Senate District in Allegheny County. I grew up in a working class family. My dad is a union operating engineer running heavy equipment, and I grew up just wanting to fight for labor and employment rights. And I was working for the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers and seeing that a lot of the education policy that I was so passionate about was happening at a state level. And I had worked with other organizations where I was, representing workers and helping them navigate a broken system, and wanted to do something to change the system which they were, operating under. I had a couple reasons for introducing Senate Bill 412. First, of course, the animal rights strengthening that I wanted to see. Pittsburgh had passed an ordinance effectively banning rodeos in the city because of past abuses. And I wanted to make sure that local control stayed in the city of Pittsburgh, both for the animal rights welfare and for just the autonomy of Pittsburgh residents saying this is not what we want. And then it was also about transparency and accountability for how we do our legislation, because this wasn't like it was a bill that was run independently. It was something that was slipped into a fiscal code bill that ran along with the budget, couple lines into a bill that's passed with a couple hours notice. So no animal rights activists got a chance to look at the language and object and have people call their elected officials. The turnaround was too short. So it's the subject matter and also the process of this is not a good way to make public policy, either here in Pittsburgh or statewide. Receiving Legislator of the Year is such an honor because you all just do such good work throughout the year, and to be just a small piece of the work you're doing, and it means a lot to be recognized for that, because this is hard work and we're in it together, and it's nice to be able to celebrate the work we're doing together. I think the message I would want to leave people with is that in these days, community matters, and it is so important that we take care of our neighbors, and small acts of kindness go a long way. And I think if we were a little kinder to friends, to neighbors, to strangers, to ourselves, we would be in a much better place.
My name's Angie Fry. I'm the Humane Educator with Humane Action Pennsylvania. So I did a lot of security work, discovered that I really loved the law. It was very interesting. It was fun figuring out the pieces of the puzzle. And then I went on and became a police officer. I was with UPMC Police at UPMC Presbyterian for about 5 or 6 years. And then I found out you could combine your love of animals with your love of law enforcement, and that's how I ended up becoming a humane police officer in Allegheny County. It's very important for animal cruelty cases to be treated seriously in the court system, because our victims, who are the animals, are voiceless. We have to be their advocates. We have to speak for them. We have to get them justice that they necessarily wouldn't get because they can't speak for themselves. Justice for animals means just that. We're getting the animals, who are the victims, justice for what happened to them, right? Were they neglected? Were they abused? Were they maybe not necessarily cared for in the best way possible? We're getting justice for them. They're our victims. I work with Humane Action Pennsylvania to train law enforcement officers because, again, it's very important to get that education out there to those who have the authority to enforce the laws. There's not always a humane officer on duty. Maybe that humane officer is tied up on other cases. In this way, the officers on the streets have a good foundational knowledge of what to look for, what to do, who to contact, so that we can get those animals help. It's a huge honor. It means that we're moving in the right direction. We're getting the laws better enforced. We're getting training out there. We are getting justice for these animals. And it's nice to be recognized for the hard work and dedication. This is not a 9-to-5 job. This is getting calls on weekends, getting calls at your kid's birthday party, and you're there to answer those questions and help those animals. Don't be afraid to speak up. If you see something, it's cliche, but if you see something, say something. It could be the tiniest detail, but it will get that animal, and a lot of times that human owner, maybe they need some help and they don't know who to reach out to. Just because you called law enforcement doesn't mean that person's going to get in trouble. a lot of times we're there to help the human as well. There's a lot of different avenues we can take the cases.
I'm Darla Poole. I'm the president and co-founder of Gray Paws Sanctuary located in White Oak, Pennsylvania. There's a couple of things that inspired me to advocate and rescue senior dogs. When I was a younger person, in my 20s, I decided to get a dog. I finally had stability enough in the home that I had bought and had a dog, wanted to get a second dog, and went to what was the Humane Society on the North Shore with a couple of friends. And there was a German Shepherd that had a sign on the gate that said owner died. And he looked really sad. And my friends were like, oh, don't get that old dog. Don't get that old dog. And his face just haunted me. And I didn't get him and left and went to the other location of the Humane Society at the time. And there was a little Cocker Spaniel, and I was by myself, and she was old, but I heard those voices saying, don't get an old dog. You don't want that old dog. And so I left, and the next day I called, and they had put her to sleep. And I always felt guilty about that. So I wanted to save senior dogs and not let them die in shelters like that. Having a statewide organization like this recognize what we're doing is really, really special. And I was very surprised and honored when I received notification that I was selected for it. And it means a lot to Gray Paws Sanctuary and the board of directors and all of our volunteers to have this recognition. For me personally, receiving this award really means that sometimes it feels like nobody knows what you're doing. And it does mean that people are recognizing the work that Gray Paws Sanctuary is doing, and that every award like this and all the attention that we get really elevates the plight around the issue around senior dogs. And they are the last ones to stay in shelters, and they are the first ones to be euthanized. And so that's really our mission, is to have that not happen. Advocating for animals is important work. Sometimes they're overlooked. There are a lot of great issues that politicians are dealing with, and sometimes animal issues don't get the attention that they deserve. So this network of people advocating for animals is extremely important, not only for the animals, again, but for the humans and the community. Right, Floyd? He agrees. One message I'd like people to know, and I think if you're in this audience and watching this video, maybe you already know this, that relationships with animals do so much for the people. It's not us always doing for the animals, it's really them giving us so much back. And the quality of life for humans improves whenever we have animals around. And I would encourage anyone who's thinking about rescuing or helping with a senior dog to contact us on our website, and we can maybe make that happen.
My name is Steve Zappala. I'm the District Attorney of Allegheny County. Like so many people that live in Western Pennsylvania and growing up here, our family always had an animal as part of the family. And that's exactly what they are. They're part of the family. And so when I became District Attorney, I came in with some ideas about things that I thought needed to be done in our community. Looking at animals just strictly as a lawyer, animals are property. I don't look at it that way. I'm not looking at this as a lawyer. I'm looking at this as a father, as a husband, as somebody who cares about my children. And I see relationships with pets that are really, really important to our family structure and to our community here in Western Pennsylvania. So it's about life, and it's about cruelty, and it's about who we are as a community. I mean, those are the most important considerations to me. There are a lot of wonderful people, from veterinarians to social workers to mental health people, that want to be involved and quite frankly, must be involved in these types of matters sometimes. So the unit was actually, I think, us coming to a reality that we have so many people working, and if we had them working in one direction together, we could accomplish so much more. So the unit was created for that purpose. The community has been wonderful. As I said before, you know, when you have some office or an entity like the District Attorney's Office supporting, you know, what you know is the right thing to do in the community, it really does empower people. And they're boots on the street, and they're working every day, and they're the conscience of the community in a large respect, and that has resonated, and I'm very pleased with that, and very proud to be part of that. Those guys, just their presence, and just like the group we're talking to today, you know, it's you guys make a difference. You really do make a difference, and caring about people, caring about the community, caring about vulnerable life in our community. I mean, there's no downs. That's who we are, and I'm very proud to be part of it. You don't expect to be recognized for doing things. I mean, you just do it because it's the right thing to do. That's how I was raised. So the fact that you guys would go out of your way and you know, and would honor me with this recognition, I mean, it's very much appreciated. And I don't know that I can promise you I'll work any harder than we're working now, but you certainly got my attention, and thank you. Thank you so much for that.